Buenos Aires, Argentina's capital city. Land of the tango, multicolor buses, dulce de leche, coffee with milk, also known as cortado, and lunfardo. The heritage of La Reina del Plata, the queen of the River Plate, is not only physical, gastronomic, cultural, or historic. At the linguistic level, the city of Buenos Aires distinguishes itself due to the particular way its inhabitants talk and pronounce the Spanish language. At the linguistic level, the city of Buenos Aires distinguishes itself due to the particular way its inhabitants talk and pronounce the Spanish language, and for the use of a certain jargon that makes this city unique. Today's cosmopolitan Buenos Aires is the same city that welcomed so many immigrants during the 20th century, especially Italian ones. In the eagerness to integrate themselves into the city's life, they unconsciously created an amused pidgin that Argentinians called Cocoliche. However, these languages have not always had a very good reputation and they were certainly not well considered among Buenos Aires citizens. Lunfardo, on one hand, has been subject of censorship and, like the French argot, was looked down upon by the upper classes because it was spoken by the lower classes. On the other hand, Cocoliche was to the criollos, the people from Argentina, a broken Spanish spoken by the immigrants. The word lunfardo comes from the corruption of the term lombardo, that means thief, used in Roman dialect. When people talk using lunfardo, they are well aware they are speaking with this jargon. Most probably, they know the words they want to use in Spanish, but as a sign of rebellion, decide to use alternative ones to express themselves. The origin of lunfardo is still a subject of debate because the first to use that jargon were people related to the Malavita, the underworld. In fact, lunfardo was first spoken by the delinquents that live in the Buenos Aires area. But to say that lunfardo is a secret code for criminals is not neither right nor exact. It has plenty of words that have nothing to do with the crime and criminals. Lunfardo has not always been a national symbol nor part of Argentina's cultural heritage. On the contrary, in 1943, the military government that overthrew President Ramon Castillo banned its use. From then on, radiophonic programs were controlled and songs containing lunfardo words were prohibited, because lunfardo was considered to be vulgar and it lowered the tone of the national language, Spanish. The censorship lasted until the presidency of Juan Domingo Perón. There is a story that recounts how several tango authors went to the Casa Rosada to talk about the prohibition in the early years of his presidency. Perón, well aware of the situation, responded using words in lunfardo. During the last century, the different resources that allowed the spread of lunfardo were crucial. Initially tango songs and poetry, and then cinema, television and radio familiarized Argentinian society with lunfardo terms. Nowadays, social networks, chats, forums, and internet sites help too. Besre is a word game that consists in switching the syllables of a word in Spanish or lunfardo. The term besre itself is the inversion of the word revés, which means backwards. Even though any word in Spanish or lunfardo can be written backwards, there are almost 280 words that made their way into lunfardo. Cocoliche can be defined as an hybrid language, a mixture of that spoken by the criollos, the Argentinian language, and the Italian language taken by immigrants to the lands in the south of the world. Most of the Italians, especially men and women from Genoa, settled in the same neighborhood, La Boca, while others went to other parts of the country to stay with their families or Italian friends. Learning a new language is always difficult, and learning Spanish was no exception for the Italian immigrants. Their efforts to integrate themselves in the Argentinian society generated an amusing dialectal language, a Spanish-Italian pidgin that at the time was called Cocoliche. The origin of the name Cocoliche is uncertain, but it is thought to come from the surname of an Italian immigrant called Antonio Cocoliccio or Cuccoliccio, who worked in the theater company owned by the Podesta brothers José and Jerónimo. In 1886, it was published a novel entitled Los Amores de Yaumina. The novel that unsuccessfully tried to imitate the accent of the Genoese immigrants in Buenos Aires tells in an amusing way the love life of an adolescent called Jagumina, the daughter of a couple from Genoa who had settled in the La Boca neighborhood. It is worth highlighting that many of her love affairs were simultaneous. Los amores de Jacumina, escrita por el hijo del dueño de la fundita del Pacarito, which is the full title of the novel, was an example of one type of cocoliche used to describe the daily life of the Italian immigrants in Buenos Aires. Are Cocoliche and Lunfardo the very same thing? The author Oscar Conde affirms that at a linguistic level, they are two distinct phenomena that were born practically at the same time and developed in the same place, on the patio of the conventillos, the slum tenements where most of the immigrant population lived. Cocoliche also gave many terms to the Lunfardo jargon. They came from different aspects of everyday life, food, work, and also body parts. Lunfardo and Cocoliche have not always enjoyed a good reputation, but amends have been made, and today they are subjects of study for both Argentinians and foreigners. Lunfardo and Cocoliche, jargon and pidgin, both extraordinary and unique, products of immigration and the collective imagination, property of the porteños, and borrowed by the rest of Argentinian's population and, from time to time, by the rest of the Latin American people. As a linguistical cultural heritage, they made the experience of talking in Buenos Aires an eccentric and unique one.